So, my prior video, I went and talked a bit about the man of lawlessness, how the man of lawlessness basically existed. And he was, in fact, this man being Eleazar ben Ananias, who was a governor of the temple at the time. This is an excerpt taken from Josephus's War of the Jews. I do use and I do refer to Josephus's War of the Jews a lot because he's just a credible, I think, by far the most credible witness to what happened leading up to the destruction of the temple at that time in 70 AD. But back to Eleazar, he is the man of lawlessness who basically stopped the sacrifice of oblation at that time, which basically was the beginning of the war against the Jews versus the Romans. Now, this was quite significant because as a man of law, who was the governor of the temple, he should have known to keep the law. But you see, he might have stopped the sacrifice of oblation. Perhaps it was that the devil entered into him, but it was really like the sovereignty of God, honestly, in the situation when you read Daniel 9:27. Well, what do I mean by that? Well, basically, I believe the person, and it's pretty obvious to me that the person in whom Daniel refers to in verse 27 is not the Antichrist, right? But is actually our Messiah, who confirmed the covenant with many for 1 week. And what does that mean? I think that just basically means that he strengthened and fulfilled God's covenant promises to his people. And in the midst of that, at the midpoint of basically, of his ministry, he was sacrificed, buried, resurrected again, and thus his resurrection, his sacrifice, was the reconciliation for the sins of the world and would satisfy the debt of sin. Basically, his sacrifice also ended the need for there to be any more sacrifices in the temple, and for there to be any kind of oblation offered, any sacrifice of oblation as well, because the temple system, though it might have continued, outwardly, it was actually spiritually obsolete. And the basic rebellion of the people, right? Even the rebels themselves were rebellious, right? They caused an overspreading of abominations. They were killing the high priest in the temple, and they weren't burying the bodies. And they were causing righteous people to be slain, those who really legitimately were trying to get the zealot movement to stop and to make peace with Rome. These rebels were killing those Jews who were trying to seek for peace, calling them traitors. And they were just treating the temple so poorly, so badly, with all of these abominations, that Jerusalem's fate was sealed. And so, God was going to go in and destroy and make desolate Jerusalem. That was the end. That was the end of things. Even until the consummation, and basically with Rome coming in and sieging Jerusalem and destroying it. This was basically determined upon that generation. So a lot of dispensationalists will believe that Daniel 9:27 is talking about the Antichrist, but it's not. It's talking about Jesus, right? It's talking about the fact that in the midst of his ministry, he would cause the temple sacrifices to become obsolete, even though they would be continuing to do it. It was spiritually obsolete. And there wasn't even a reason to basically continue with the sacrifices of oblation, even though it was going to happen that the man of lawlessness would stop that sacrifice of oblation, right? And that would signal the desolation of Jerusalem. We still get in Matthew 24 an encouragement from Jesus right? For the church in Jerusalem to flee, right, into the Judean mountains, right? And we get that here. Sorry, we get that. Here, right? In Matthew 24, verses 15 to 16, right? So, yes, the abomination of desolation would have been Eleazar having like slain the high priest and not burying the bodies, like basically covering like the temple with the blood of the people, right? That was not the intention of the temple. And but not only that, but it was really because Jesus's death, burial, and resurrection was sufficient to cause these sacrifices to cease, and was sufficient to pay the price of our sin. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, and I hope to get into the next video into who I think the two witnesses are and what I think happened back then, around 66 AD. So I'll see you in the next video. God bless you.